Day Flight Simmers. Today we are going to try a flight with the Cirrus SR22T. Now I've flown this aircraft before. This is 2024 March. So I'm going to be using real-time real weather. So it's the 18th of March and it's 4:29 p.m. So you can see in this area of Niagara Falls, New York, it's pretty overcast. So we've got some weather. So we're using real-time and real weather, like I said. I never really had a problem with this aircraft, but just recently I noticed it doesn't want to seem to capture the glide slope for some reason. Now, perhaps there's a little glitch in the latest update that I got for Microsoft Flight Sim, or perhaps there's some little tip you can give me to see if you've overcome this little issue. So let's see what happens on this flight anyway. So what I'm going to do is go to little nav map here, create a flight plan. So we'll fly from Rochester, and I'm just going to take off from the runway. Put my mouse over here, and preferred runways you can see under NOAA station MEDAR 22, 22, 25, 28. So let's take off from 28. So I will select this airport as my departure. Just right click on it. And then you can also right click here or up here for your departure runway. So we said runway 28, okay. And we're heading in the direction of Niagara Falls anyway. So the wind must be blowing in this direction here today. So I'm going to suggest that runway. So let's go over to Niagara Falls, right here. Zoom in on Niagara Falls International. So we're going to use this. We're going to do an ILS approach. You can see the ILS frequency is 110.10 at 280 magnetic north. So the glide slope happens to be 2.5 degrees on this one. Usually it's 3. So I'm going to right click on this and select it as a destination. And that just happens to be a preferred runway because of the winds as well. As you can see there under that red dot there that came up in the box, you can see preferred runways. So I'm going to select 28 right. It's an ILS lighted runway, so if it's a little dark, we might get some lights helping us out. I'm going to right click there and look at arrival procedures. And I'm looking for 28 with an I in front of it. You see that I there? And these two would be ILS. This would be probably an RNAV. And then B. And this one here is a localizer. So we're going to click on the one that says I28 right Y. And I'm going to see how this showed up here. I'm going to insert it. So we've got that approach inserted now. So I am going to fly at, let's go for, we're going from east to west, so I want an even number. So I'm going to select 6,000 feet and see how that works out, see if I can do it. If you click on this, it'll calculate a flight plan for you. It'll adjust your height if it's required, and it'll calculate. So you can see it put in some waypoints for us. So we've got a flight plan in a little nav map. Now, we didn't get any warning here in red letters telling us there's something wrong. We can take a look at the elevation. So you can see we're clearing stuff. There's a little trail on here, the little dotted lines. You can get rid of that if you want. So what I'm going to do right now is click Save this flight plan right there. And I'm going to save it to this folder, the Nav Maps Flight Plan folder. And if I click on map, it says, do you want to delete this user aircraft trail? And I'll say yes. And you see that dotted trail disappeared that was on there. It was from a previous flight. I can close this window down. We don't really need that now. And the other thing I want to do is just go to export this as a Microsoft Flight Plan 2020. And it's asked me if I want to start from a gate or a parking spot. And I'm just going to say, just save it the way it is, so I depart from the runway on this little nav flight plan. So I'm just going to show you that again. You see it saved it to a directory here where where Microsoft Flight Sim is loaded on my computer under Microsoft Flight Plan flight plans. So we're good to go here for now. What I'm going to do is downsize this and just drag it. We can refer to this during the flight. It's often very useful to do that, like to check your ILS frequency, etc. So let's import that now. So I'm going to look for save more. So I'm going to go back right now and go back to here, and then I'm going to go back into the screen, see if I can get this little window to pop up that I'm looking for. There. Okay, so this time, why that doesn't show up all the time, I don't know, but space more will give you load and save. So load from this PC. And I have to go looking at that flight plan that I made. So Rochester. So I'm going to open that. And there's the flight plan. Looks like it's 31 minutes roughly. So I'm just going to show you the nav log here. So you can see we're going to climb up here and cruise at 6,000. Then we're going to start descending. So there's our waypoints. There's our altitudes. So let's see how things go. These ILS approach and landings with autopilot are not really very difficult unless there's some sort of glitch in the software for the aircraft. If you do everything right, it should work, but we'll see how it goes on this one and what little issues we may encounter with this aircraft. Okay, here we are in Greater Rochester. The weather is nice and clear here right now. And so this is the problem you can get into with this aircraft if you fly into icing conditions. It'll start giving you warnings, etc. Because this plane is not really certified to fly in icing conditions, although it does have some de-icing system that you can deploy if you get into trouble, but you're supposed to exit from icing conditions if at all possible, or land your aircraft to get out of that scenario. So there's our beautiful little aircraft here, and taxiing out now to the runway. So here's our Cirrus SR22T. We got a co-pilot on board, and the co-pilot is going to be looking after our comm frequencies and setting those for us in the transponder and speaking to air traffic control. So as a pilot, you're freed up to focus on flying the aircraft. So we're ready to fly. So here's the view you're going to get right off the bat. Here's your primary flight display. Here's your multifunctional screen. Here's your, different instruments, gauges to check for like oil pressure, etc. And your power, your RPMs. We got a caution on right now because the parking brake is on and the PTOT's not on. So the temperature is 2 degrees Celsius, which is pretty much right on freezing. So if you're not familiar with Celsius, In Fahrenheit, it'd be close to 32 degrees. So let's put on the pitot. Control 5. Let's look for that pitot. There it is right there. Put that pitot on. All these other things have been turned on for you already. So we've got nav lights are on, strobe lights off, the landing lights are on, the ice light is off. I think we can put that ice light on. And we've got the pitots now. You can press on this activate mode to de-ice for 2 minutes. And then we've got this pump button here. Airframe de-ice. We can turn those on if we need to during the flight. So the rest of the stuff's been turned on. I want to show you something you have to do for prep to take off. You have to have this. This is on lock 1 now, LOC1 localizer. You want to switch that to, by clicking on the soft key for CDI, you want to switch that to GPS so that we can fly using the autopilot on GPS and the nav button. So we still get the parking brake flashing. Here's the barometric pressure. We got to set that. And you just press B Bravo on your keyboard. It didn't change, so it's already been set for us. Now our altitude we're going to have to set. On this primary flight display, of importance is your speed gauge. Here's some speed bugs already set for us here. I'm going to rotate. They just disappeared for whatever reason. Oh, there they go. And it's probably because I scrolled over there. Right now the parking brake's on, so the aircraft isn't moving, but the aircraft is on and fully running. Here's your altitude gauge. So we need to set that altitude. I think I picked for that flight plan. Let's take a look at it again. Little nav map. Bring it up. We said 6,000 feet, so they're going to be expecting me to go to 6,000 feet. So I'm just going to back off here, and that thing just revved up a bit for some reason. Control 4, I think, but Control 3 on your keyboard, and then you have to adjust your view a little bit. But I'm just going to back off here so you can see right here as I scroll on the altitude dial. I want to set it to 6,000. So this plane does fly very well, even if things aren't all working as they should. You can still resolve your issues and land this manually. Take it off autopilot when you get close. It does seem to follow the localizer on approaching the runway very well at this particular time. So that's our altitude. And right here what we have is a heading dial. We have an approach mode. You're probably familiar with that. Here's your nav button. Here's your heading mode, nav mode, autopilot, flight director. Now I have a button program for the autopilot to turn it on, and when you turn it on to this aircraft, this flight director comes on too. You know, if it didn't, you would want to hit the flight director first and then the autopilot. So I'm going to, this thing's in, this is highlighted, not sure why, but this vertical speed, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to scroll on this wheel. So watch up here. On our altitude gauge, this little window will tell you what your vertical speed is being set at. So you can see VS just lit up. This is on roll, which means it's not on GPS at this moment. Roll would just have the autopilot fly the aircraft in a level, straight direction. We got a caution here. I'll take a look at that in a second. So I'm going to scroll on this. And see, I'm scrolling down because it says to go up. You have to scroll on that with your mouse wheel in the downward direction. So I'm going to try and climb at 1,000 feet. Okay, so that has already been preset. So that should take over as soon as we turn on the autopilot and get airborne. I don't know if I can. Yeah, that says it's off.
Engaging
that
autopilot.
says on. Okay, so it said engaged autopilot just when I clicked on that. but it was lighting blue and I wasn't sure, so I'm going to take the autopilot off. And that should be off. I'm not sure why it's still showing up here, so this could be a little glitches. Let me just turn this on again and see what happens. Okay, so we got this on. This one just didn't disappear. At any rate, that's pretty much gets us ready to take off. Let's see what this caution's for. Just the caution for the parking brake, no other alerts. So the parking brake I'm going to take off. It's down here somewhere. There it is. Right there. See it lighten up? So if I go control 3, I think, 4, 5, 6, there it is. I can control 6 will get that. Control 5 is these lights, etc. Control 1 will get us back here. Alright, so we should be good to go. Just going to give you a view out through the window here. And we are going to go outside for a second. That's your throttle you just saw there. So here's an exterior view. The flaps aren't down. You're going to want those down. Okay, so I'm going to full throttle now forward. And this thing lifts off pretty nicely. You know, at around 80 knots. You just pull back gently and she'll lift right off. There we go. I'll take you outside for a second. Okay. Going to bring up the flaps. I'm going to get a good rate of climb here. Here, go inside. I'm going to turn on the autopilot. So we should be climbing now because we had that vertical speed turned on. But I see it's gone back to 0 here. So let's just go down. It's probably because I clicked on that button there. But anyways, let's set it to climb. There we go. So we're climbing now.
Exit 366. Descend and maintain flight level 200.
You can see it showing up here.
Cleveland Center SR616 is passing 1,300 feet, climbing 6,000 feet.
Now because this is off, I'm going to get your nose right over that. See, that says it's off, so I do not believe that should still be showing up there, so that could just be a little glitch. Alrighty, so we're airborne here. We got our flaps up, so let's just take a look at this multifunctional display. If I want to bring up my flight plan, all I have to do is hit flight plan there, and it will split the screen. So check your RPMs here. And you've got your fuel here, and your fuel flow, oil PSI, so you know everything looks pretty good here. The battery looks all right. Now, the frequency for that runway, let me set that for you. I'll show you how to do that. We've got lots of time here, so let's just take a look at our aircraft here. Here we are right here. And I may have to get this on track if it's not following the flight plan. We'll find out. But anyway, the runway we're going into is 11010. Okay? So let's go back to the aircraft. You see here, 11010. It's in standby mode right now. And also it's down here on nav 2. So to switch it up to nav 1, just right click on that. Now it moved up. And you see you can use these dials to set these numbers. But it's already set for us, so I'm just going to hit swap. Often it's, and I may have to actually hit line that right up before that button will highlight. Sometimes if you're not actually on the screen itself directly over it, you can't get these buttons aligned. That's your nav audio button. So let's just see where we're going here. You can see we're not following this thing, so I've got to put it on nav.
Cleared to Trava.
We'll see what happens when I switch nav on.
Miles northeast of Buffalo. Contact
Okay,
Buffalo
immediately
Tower
it went to
120,
GPS
decimal 5,
on
180
autopilot, so now it's chasing the needle, the GPS
Jet
needle.
8992 contact
This says
Cleveland
suspend
Center
right here.
127.475.
See that?
Good day.
So if that doesn't go off, I'm going to click this to see if I can get it off. I'm going to see what happens when it gets
Air
over
Canada
there.
127
Let's
decimal
go outside and have a
475
look.
Jet
Yeah, see,
8992.
we're way over here.
Goodbye.
So let me just
Endeavour 4921 descend and
hit
maintain flight level
this
300.
soft key here.
Tower on 120
And then
decimal
you can see
5
the aircraft
Delta
turning now.
248.
And let's just make sure your nav's still
Climb
on.
and maintain
Didn't go
flight
off.
level 300.
The autopilot's
Endeavour
on.
4921.
Flight director's on. So now we're chasing this needle here, which seems to be lining us up with the flight plan. So if you do run into little issues like that, what you want is GPS, autopilot, the odd amper automatically comes on. It's holding its altitude now at 6,000. And this is a map you can bring up just by clicking on these soft keys here. I'm not going to play around with those right now, but this would change your
Air Canada 585
primary
descend
flight
and
display
maintain flight
settings.
level 340.
And as I said, this gives you your localizer over GPS. So let's take a look at the little nav map and see what's happening now. So we're getting back on track here, you can
Descend and
see.
maintain flight level 340.
So it didn't
Air
immediately
Canada
pick it up because I
585.
didn't turn on the nav. So once you get your autopilot on, everything's flying okay, hit the nav button and you should start following your flight plan. Alright, there's our waypoints there, so we can actually compare them to the ones
and maintain 13,000 feet.
in here. See, some of these are showing up.
Descend and maintain 14,000
Here's where
feet.
we're headed right now. And then
Generic
it should
25
switch
feet
over to
climb
this
and
one.
maintain flight level 190.
It's lined up pretty good right now. And try to keep your
Descend and
speed out
maintain
of
14,000
the
feet.
yellow
Return
caution
tree
zone.
622.
Like I said, the transponder's handled by the co-pilot. You have your settings done like that.
Climb and maintain 13,000
There is a timer
feet.
here.
Return
If you want to
5829.
set the time for the flight. And there's also a button, soft key for Cirrus too. You can see it's not lighting up very
Climb and
well
maintain
unless
flight
I
level
go control
190.
1.
Generic 258.
Let's try control 1. There, okay, it's lighting up. When little nav maps up, it's controlling the mouse, so the mouse wasn't able to highlight these points here. So that's something to bear in mind. See the heading bug there? It's not pointed in the direction we're flying. If you want to just change that very easily, just right click on your heading bug. Heading knob dial down there, and then it'll jump to line it up with the nose of the aircraft. Alright, so right now everything's looking pretty good. So in order to highlight this and look at the rest of our waypoints, I can right click on this
Envoy tree
flight management
871.
system button
Descend and
there.
maintain flight level 340.
And now this is
Return flight
highlighted, and I can just scroll on the larger wheel here and scroll down. I want to try and look at, here's the weather just came up there. I want to try and look at, see, there's a little hold thing in here. I notice that's showing up when I create a flight plan with this aircraft. That basically means it's going to get to this waypoint and then it's just going to hold its heading and not go to this waypoint. So I'm going to have to hit, I'm going to get a direct to that waypoint to get this plane back on track if it becomes an issue. I mean, you can delete that too. Doesn't seem to make much difference, so I'll show you how to delete it. I'll just scroll back until I get to hold. There it is there. I mean, if you want to delete that, I can clear it and it says remove hold, and you just hit enter, and it's gone now. So maybe it will go from this waypoint to this. If it doesn't, I'm going to do a manual sequence and get this thing back on track when we get there. Let's have a look at the weather. So it's really lousy weather. So one thing pilots should avoid at all costs is flying into icy weather in an aircraft like this. But, you know, you can, in the real world, I suppose, find yourself in a rather precarious position if you don't get yourself out of icy conditions with this aircraft. But I want to see if this thing ices up. You can see the snow here and the icing showing up. And you might get the windshield starting to ice up. So we're getting into icing conditions. So that's what I wanted to see with this one. It's going to fly. We can turn on the de-icing. Let's just see if the window's icing up yet. Yeah, so it's kind of cool to see that. So, you know, it's very realistic. They're reproducing the weather, and I believe I can show you the weather. There it is right there. So you can see right now there's snow, or probably this is snow. I don't think it's freezing rain. So that's the radar, and that's what we're flying into. So probably what would be wise to do is turn around and go back to Rochester. Or try and get out of this, go to a nearby airport if you're having a real problem. So let's go back to the aircraft and see what we got here. Okay, so we're getting icing conditions here. So what I'm going to do is turn on Control 5. Let's turn on the airframe de-ice and a de-ice pump. You can set that to high, I suppose, nothing hurt. De-ice max mode, press and hold it for 2 minutes. And this one here, press and hold that. See if we can clear up the windshield a bit. Anyway, it'll be interesting to try and land this thing in these conditions. Now, your power, you want to have your power around 95 without getting into overspeed. Now at 6,000, you can change your fuel ratio. Adjust this slightly. You can lean your fuel a little bit. So you can see your flaps are up. I don't think that's operable with the motion. Anyway, I'm going to show you some of the other checklists there.
SR616 traffic is 7 o'clock 4 miles at 9,000.
So we did a normal.
Report them in sight.
Okay.
Jazz 859er tree.
So, normal takeoff, that's your checklist. Release your brakes, full power, check your engine perimeters, rotate, flaps up. So we did all that. So, I'm just going to go forward here. It's got a nice bunch of checklists with this aircraft. So, for climbing, oxygen is required, power level, full forward, mixture, maintain fuel flow. Flaps, verify they're up, airspeed, there's your airspeed you want to shoot for, and your boost pump. Fuel flow. I'm just going to monitor the engine, this issue here. All these different dials, make sure everything looks good and you're not getting any warnings. Now we've got an advisory here, so let me just see what it says. So, control 1. It says fuel imbalance has been detected. So you get that with this aircraft. So I'm going to go control 4, I think it is. I'm going to switch it over to this tank. Make sure you don't put it to cutoff. So that should handle that warning. So I'm going to go to cruise. Fuel boost. Fuel pump boost. And then let's known icing conditions. Fuel pump as required. Fuel flow and balance. We looked at that. Mixture says lean to. So you can autocomplete this whole page. And if you have that in your settings for assistance for the co-pilot to be able to do this, you can have that done for you. So I'll go back to cruise, and the fuel pump boost is probably supposed to be on here, so let's just autocomplete this page. Okay, so it did that stuff for us. And then cruising should adjust the mixture. Let's see if this changes when I autocomplete this.
Jeff 8555 descend and maintain flight
Didn't
level
change the
300.
mixture at all. And then known icing conditions. So this is just stuff that it tells you to do.
Jeff 8555 descend and maintain flight level 300.
So basically, you're going to be advised to exit icing conditions if you get into them with this aircraft. So before landing, we're going to want our landing lights on, fuel system check, power as required, altimeter set, and oxygen as required. Brake pressure check, and engine settings
Jeff
check.
8555 descend and maintain flight level 290.
Those are the things we're going to do for our descent, and you can autocomplete those, but I'm just going to close that right now.
Climb and maintain
Control
flight
1,
level 290.
and I'm going to check,
Jeff
so our alert's gone off there on the fuel imbalance, so that's taken care of. I want to check the barometric pressure again, altimeter. So it just changed.
616, contact Buffalo approach on 126.5.
Okay, they're calling us right now. So this is going to change.
126.5 SR616. Goodbye.
So
Buffalo
that
approach
just
SR
changed.
616 6,000 feet.
SR 616 Buffalo approach altimeter 29.77 radar contact. Continue to Keys.
Okay, so our barometric pressure is okay. So we're heading for this, and I'm going to take a look at a little nav map and see where the heck we are. Bring this over. Bring this up. So we're coming right in. We're just getting ready to land pretty soon. So when we get to this point, it might not follow this flight plan. Unless removing that hold from our flight plan, deleting that, may have allowed this to go from here right to the next waypoint, which is CFMCD, it looks like. Now, once again, what we're trying to do here is get down.
Maintain 2,200 feet.
Descend and maintain 2,200 feet in SR
So
616.
we want to get down here, 2,200 feet. We want to get into this feather. This is the glide slope view. So that's the beacon that's coming off of the signal for the glide slope. So that's vertical. And then this is horizontal. This is the ILS frequency that we want to pick up. We want to get inside there and inside here. My mouse is down below here. All right, so let's take a look at what they told us to do here. Descend to 2,200. So that's fine. 2,200.
SR 616 traffic is 3 o'clock, 2 miles at 2,300 feet generic. Report them in sight.
So I want to
SR
put on the
616
vertical
traffic in
speed
sight.
again. It's on, and I want to descend.
Buffalo approach generic
So
November
you got to scroll
267
on that,
Hotel, 2,300 feet.
and it does want to move.
SR 616, you are 16 miles east.
See here?
Maintain
We're
present
descending
heading
now.
and altitude. Expect ILS-Y
Vertical speed
runway
down. I got it at
28 right
1500,
approach
so
via
watch your
transition.
airspeed.
Clear to Emmett. Generic November 267 Hotel Hotel.
So
Buffalo,
this has got to stay on GPS. If it goes to roll or something, got an issue.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS Yankee runway 28 right approach via Emmett transition clear to Emmett SR 616.
Generic 7 Hotel Hotel traffic is 9 o'clock 2
Now let's
miles
have a look
at
here.
4,800 feet Cirrus
See where we are
SR22.
here.
Report them in sight.
I'm not sure if it's actually flying straight right now or
Generic
going to
7
this
Hotel
point.
Hotel have the traffic.
It deviated a little bit. Is that the next waypoint? No, it's this one right here. Let's look at our flight plan. Yeah, that one right there should be headed to. Doesn't look like it's going to it.
SR 616 descend and maintain 2,300 feet.
Descend and maintain 2,300 feet in SR 616.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit direct to. See that's highlighted right now? What I want to do is highlight the next one. See if I can go down to it. And I'm going to hit direct to. And then it's up there, and I'm going to hit enter. And now it's highlighting activate. I'm going to hit enter again. And now it's going to go over, so I don't think it had picked up that
SR
waypoint.
616 traffic alert.
So
1
hopefully
o'clock less than 1 mile.
it's going to fly
2,300
over
feet
there
generic.
and then pick up the localizer. And I'm not expecting it to pick up the glide slope because the last
7
couple
o'clock
of
less than 1 mile.
flying this to different
2,100
airports,
feet
I'm just trying this one for a change.
Report them in sight.
I haven't been able to get it to pick up the glide slope.
SR
which used to
616
work
have the
really
generic
well on
in
this
sight.
aircraft. So, just as a reminder, your nav's on,
Generic 7
autopilot,
Hotel Hotel
flight
have the
director
traffic.
on, and the approach isn't on right now. So you see we picked up the localizer, so that's a good sign. At least that's going to get us directly in there. But now I have to hit approach. Right there. And we're at the right altitude.
Generic 7 Hotel Hotel, you are 7 miles east of
You can see
Niagara.
we're inside this. We should be
Contact
picking
Niagara
up that
Tower on
glide slope.
118.5 when inbound.
So when you pick up the glide slope, what happens is this diamond comes down, and then this GS in white turns green.
Tower on 118.5
If you've actually picked it up.
Hotel Hotel.
So if it doesn't, I'm going to have to descend using vertical. I'm going to use this button here, vertical
SR
speed, and
616
scroll
traffic
down.
is 10 o'clock 2 miles at 2,200 feet generic.
So I'm going to slow down.
Report them in sight.
SR
Right now
616
we're
have the
lined
generic
up
in sight.
with the runway.
SR 616, you are 7
Show you
miles
what it
east
looks
of
like.
Niagara. Contact Niagara Tower on
See?
118.5
We're flying right down.
when
Here's our
inbound on the
runway.
approach.
Tower on 118.5 SR 616. Niagara Tower and SR 616 6 miles east inbound ILS Yankee runway 28 right approach.
So this thing
SR
should,
616
when
Niagara
this
Tower.
green diamond,
Altimeter 29.78, wind 271 at
whatever
17.
color you want to call it, it's
Cleared
sort of a
ILS
green,
Yankee
it looks
runway
like to me.
28 right approach.
And that gets right there by this little
SR
magenta
616, wind
space.
271
It should
at
start
17.
descending.
Clear to land runway 28 right.
And there, it says glide slope right there.
Clear to land runway 28 right SR 616.
Generic 7 Hotel Hotel,
So we are descending. Okay, so I haven't been able on the last few flights to get this to work. So for some reason it's picked it up, and there's a little flashing signal there telling us where we are with respect to the glide slope. Looks like we're right on and we're descending. So, I mean, it would be well nigh impossible to land in this without GPS and a glide slope. So it's going down. It's working. So what I want to do now is put the flaps down. I'm not going to mess with this checklist right now for descent because I'm doing what I need to do anyway. I'm just going to show you. And then these are the things you want to have. Just going to go inside here and make sure that those landing lights are on. I'll put the strobe lights on too. Okay, we got some rain. Wow, really icing up. Dangerous conditions for this aircraft. Before landing, okay, so I'm just going to autocomplete that. But those are all the things you would go through. Full rich. Flaps at 50%.
500.
Airspeed. Okay, we're getting really close. Well, let's just get that off. Take a look outside. You can hardly see. Okay, we're at 500. So you want your speed at around 85. But this thing's descending nicely. Press B on your keyboard to make sure your barometric pressure's okay. Okay, so that just set it there. Stay around 85. Especially with this icing, you wouldn't want to put full flaps down with this icing condition. So there is the icing. So she's iced up pretty good. Let's see if we can land this thing. I'm going to take it off autopilot shortly and just land it gently. Put it down as softly as you can. I'm going to take the autopilot off. The autopilot's off.
Generic 7 Hotel, go around.
Going to 125.3 NASR 616.
126.5 generic 7 Hotel. Goodbye. Niagara Tower generic November
Flaps up.
267 Hotel 1 miles north inbound ILS-Y runway 28 right approach. Generic November 267 Hotel Niagara Tower. Altimeter 29er, decimal 78, wind 270 at 17. Cleared ILS-Y runway 28 right approach. Cleared ILS-Y runway 28 right approach, generic 7 Hotel.
So let's do that checklist after landing. After landing, you want your power lever to 1,000, fuel pump boost off. That is off. And flaps up. Got them up now. lights as required. So it's pretty dark, so we can leave those on. PTOT, I think, switch off. Transponders on standby. So, parking brake on. It's on roll mode right now. It's telling us. So, transponder gets put on standby. That's being taken care of by the, right here is the transponder, I believe. Let's see if we can, what happens if I press Control 1. Yeah, if you press those numbers, you can actually change it. Backspace. We'll go back. So that should be on standby. Let me just see if I can. Okay, we got the transponder on standby, and the code, you can just set that to 00 for now. Okay. Let's go back, and PTOT switching, flaps, ice protection, all this stuff. I'm going to leave that on for now. I'll auto-complete it when we get there because it's pretty icy right now. I want to see if I can get us a gate.
Ground SR616 request taxi to the gate.
SR616 taxi to gate 59er using taxiway Alpha 2 Alpha Alpha 1 cross runway 10 left Kilo Charlie cross runway 6 hotel.
Taxiing to gate 59er via taxiway Alpha 2 Alpha Alpha 1 cross runway 10 left Kilo Charlie cross runway 6 hotel SR616.
One of the nice things about little nav map is you can actually find your way around the airport, and because the aircraft is showing up where it is on Microsoft Flight Sim, so even if you didn't know where all these taxiways were, you could find them using little nav maps. So just going to move that a little bit, and you can see the gate we're going to here. Just move it out right there, off to the side. So we are going into gate 59. Should be somebody directing us here. Oh, there he is. Wants us to get over a bit. Yeah. Lots of ice on the window here. Oh, slow down a bit. See if I can follow his directions. Straightforward. They tend to bring you a little too close to them before they drop those. There we go. And then you got to put the brakes on. And PTOT heat is required. So I'm going to put the parking brake on right now. And I'm going to close down the nav map. You can see it took us a little further than it says on the gate, which seems to happen a lot.
Ground generic November 267 hotel request
So
taxi to parking.
I'm going to go through this checklist here
Generic
for
November
you.
267 hotel taxi to
So,
general aviation
this
parking
was,
via taxiway Kilo Charlie Juliet cross runway 6
basically after
Juliet.
landing right here. So we've done all these things pretty much.
Taxiing to general
Let's just
aviation
take a
parking
look
via
once
taxiway
more.
Kilo Charlie Juliet cross
Control
runway 6
5.
Juliet generic 7 hotel.
So this stuff's all on right now. So we can turn this stuff off. The PTOT needs to go off, which I think we did already. We can turn off these lights now. And the people outside will know we're shutting her down. So that's basically, this is off the pump, so let's go to shutdown. So for shutting this thing down, I'm just going to try and scroll up here so you can see the beginning of it. Fuel pump off, we did. Throttle to idle. Okay. Ignition switch cycle. Okay, so for that you can auto-complete that item. Just tick it that
Ignition
it's done.
switch. Cycle.
Okay, so fuel mixture to cut off. So you bring that all the way down. I'm not sure if that's 100% all the way down. Yeah, it is. Okay. Mixture cut off. All switches off. So these all can go off now. Oh. All right. Yeah, this jumped on us. Let's go back to shutdown. Magneto, that needs to go off. There we go. Magneto's caution, caution. Transmit light out, ELT. That's sort of like an emergency signal you can arm. And what else? The tie downs? Well, chocks and tie downs as required. Let's take a look outside here. There we go. Yeah, they bring you up a little bit too close, but I'm just following it. We should have been back here. But if you don't follow his instructions, then he stands there freezing his baguettes off till you get into place. So, yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for joining me on this flight, and everything went as expected. It was a little windy as soon as I took the autopilot off and made it for a very tricky landing. Normally, this thing is pretty darn easy to land if it's not windy and the weather's not really bad. The joystick I'm using is a Thrustmaster, which works very well, so I usually don't have an issue on landing these aircraft, especially the smaller ones. And I'm using the Thrustmaster as well, throttle, with all its program buttons you can do on both of them. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the flight, learned something from it. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time, Flight Simmers.